Hi, this is Nita from Nita's World. I'm your host, and I'm so excited. We're here to shine our light bright and bring positivity into the world. And I want to introduce you guys to an amazing guest that I have here today, Damian. Damian is a
I'm a personal trainer, but my special niche is corrective exercise.
okay.
What's
Oh,
corrective exercise?
yeah. What's corrective
So,
exercise?
corrective exercise refers to using movement,
Okay.
prescribing movement patterns to help people recover from chronic injuries, chronic aches and pains, overuse injuries, um, maybe hip replacement, post rehab knee replacement, post rehab shoulder replacement,
Okay.
tennis elbow, uh, shoulder impingement, all the kinds of things. That a lot of times athletes and aging athletes, or just people in general, just over life, the overuse in the joints. Uh,
Oh, okay.
so really bringing strength and mobility into balance.
Oh,
Sometimes people will
nice.
be really strong in one direction, and
Okay.
that can create an imbalance where we kind of have to look at an antagonist kind of direction um, to where the dysfunction is
Okay.
and strengthen it.
Oh, interesting. So you have to start where it all begins,
You look at
where
where
all
the
the pain.
epicenter of pain is not always where the epicenter of dysfunction is.
Okay.
I think a really common issue that a lot of people can relate to is because our lifestyle now is so much sitting. We
Mhm.
sit when we're in a car, we sit when we're at a desk, we sit when
Yes.
we eat. So a lot of times what happens is our hip flexors will
Okay.
become shortened.
The hip flexors.
So
What
the
are the?
muscles are in the crease of the leg.
Oh, they
Hip
do
flexors get
become
short,
short.
and because they're
I
short,
notice it on myself.
yeah. So when the muscle gets shortened, it feels like it's tight, and
Yeah.
we associate in our minds the tightness with being strong. So we
Okay.
might think, oh, I need to now strengthen the opposite muscle, which would be our glutes, which is always a great idea.
Oh.
But sometimes the hip flexors being short and tight, they can still be weak. So sometimes what we need to do is mobilize the hip flexor and strengthen them, but strengthen them in a lengthened position. Does that make
Okay.
sense? So they're
Mhm.
used to being short and tight, but that can still be a weakness. So that'd be
Okay.
one example of where the corrective exercise specialist
Oh,
could
that's so
help somebody.
neat. Wow. So can you give me an example of someone that you've helped with corrective exercise maybe, or an example of a um client you've had where y- it's been super successful in healing them and helping them?
Absolutely. There's a bunch that come to mind.
Okay.
Um, I'll
That's
use
great.
um, one example. A friend of ours,
Okay.
um, uh, uh, service member, retired,
Yeah.
marching in boots for 20 years,
Yes.
um, end up with some foot and ankle dysfunction,
Okay.
which would be some chronic pains.
Okay.
And so, um, one of the approaches we took was we look at the function of the ankle, which is
Okay.
very often, we think of, extension and flexion of the foot, right?
Yeah.
Um, but the ankle also turns. So we have eversion and inversion. And
Okay.
sometimes, marching is a repetitive movement with a lot of flexion forward movement and
Okay.
flexion and extension. And so strengthening the ankle
Uh-huh.
and eversion and inversion, which is kind of the side movement, you know.
Oh,
So just
okay.
exploring the way the joint is designed to move that maybe it didn't move as much.
Wow, that's amazing.
It
Because I I didn't know you I didn't know that personal trainers went to that extent.
some do.
Maybe you're different. You seem different because you're more like more details from what I see about your knowledge of healing.
I think that I've taken an approach where the people with dysfunction that are ready to give up on moving because it hurts, um,
Yeah.
I welcome those people to find out, what kind of movement can we do.
Okay.
Um,
Oh,
to give
that's
you another
wonderful.
example, I can think of just they're coming into my mind. I had a lady who had both knees replaced,
Okay.
and that's a pretty major surgery, right?
Yeah.
And she was not athletic. she was not a strong, person. She wasn't athletic. She hadn't been weight training or anything like that. And with the knee replacements, they ended up putting her on a walker.
Mm.
And when you're on a walker, it takes a lot of arm strength, a
Okay.
lot of stress on the shoulders, and she wasn't prepared for that.
Oh
So
yeah,
while
she
she
used a
was
lot of arm strength.
right, she ended up tearing her rotator cuff muscle, the supraspinatus,
Oh
from
no.
using a walker. So then she ended up two new knees, but her shoulders were wrecked. And
Okay.
she came to me. She could not even like lift a coffee mug to put on a shelf because her shoulders were in so much pain
That's how bad it
from the damage.
was.
Yeah, they're really, really
Wow.
the MRIs, the imaging, um, showed that that supraspinatus had been severed.
Wow.
Um, so the approach we took was like, okay, if it hurts to bring your arm up this high in front of you, let's not do that. How far can we move it before it hurts? And let's stay away from where it hurts. So we strengthened her maybe just in this range of motion here. And as she got stronger here, then we put the weight down. Maybe it was a 2 or 3 pound weight. Just
Okay.
get stronger in the movement where the movement pattern didn't cause any pain.
Okay.
And then she could put the weight down, and eventually she was strong enough to lift her arm again. So
Oh
then we
wow.
worked, then we strengthened maybe 2 or 3 pound weight again, got her stronger in that further range of motion. And then as she recovered, she came back and now she could move her arm further.
Oh,
And then we
that's
got stronger in that
wonderful.
range. So instead of forcing the movement into a range of motion that causes pain, we
Yeah.
stay away from that, respect that,
Ah.
and just back off and do almost mini movements in the areas
Okay.
where we can move without pain.
Wow, that's good to know. And that's good for the listeners to know because not everyone understands pain and how it works,
And the old adage of, no pain, no gain, or just work through it, it's
Yeah.
not always the right answer.
Okay.
And Cindy was her name. Cindy can now put weights up and over her head.
Oh, that's
No surgeries.
wonderful.
No
No
surgeries,
surgery.
just slow, progressive overload with light weights and limited movement patterns. But as
Okay.
she got stronger in the movement patterns that she was comfortable in, then the movement patterns expanded on their own.
Wow, that's amazing.
Seems like magic.
It does seem like magic, and that means then, well, we'll have to talk.
But it's just physiology. It's just physiology. It's the way the body works.
Yeah, that's interesting. So a herniated disc can be healed. You're thinking too.
I think so. Sure.
Wow. We'll
Um,
have to we'll have to see what happens. I know a lot of people with herniated discs too. I mean, you never know. I might send you some more.
okay. Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's wonderful. So let me ask you, um, what's one misconception people have about fitness that you wish would disappear, if you don't mind me
Oh,
asking?
wow. Um, that it has to be painful, that it has to be
Okay.
uncomfortable, that you have to suffer. That would
Yeah.
be one. And then the other one on the other side is I see very often people, especially as they get older, think, I'm just going to do lightweight and lots of reps. And they think that that's going to help them get stronger.
Okay.
And I want to explore that idea for a moment because lightweight and lots of reps is going to create fatigue,
Oh,
right? So
yeah.
fatigue, we're going to end up leaving the gym or leaving the workout thinking, oh, I got a great workout. I'm so fatigued. I can feel, worn out.
Yeah.
But what actually stimulates the muscle to get stronger? Like when we're working out, we want to make some kind of adaptations. Usually we want to develop some muscle tone, develop some strength adaptations. And when we do that, that also will segue into strengthening our bones.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get stronger muscles, we get stronger bones, which is a good way to reverse and prevent and reverse osteopenia or osteoporosis. Strengthen the muscles and we're going to strengthen the bones because they support each other.
Yeah. That's
Um,
amazing. That's amazing because I didn't know that you could reverse it, and I feel like working out, like you're saying, strengthening your muscles, probably protect the bones and muscles too,
100%.
right?
100%. Well, they're a system that works together.
Okay.
We think that our bones support the body,
Okay.
and in a sense they do. But without the muscles, the bones would just fall. They'd just be a pile of sticks, right?
Yeah.
So it's the muscle and the connective tissue, the fascia, they all work together to hold the bones up.
Yes.
And with that, we think the body is a machine.
Okay.
And in some sense, it's got all these moving parts. We think it's going to work like a machine. But every movement and every function of the body really comes down to we're a bunch of chemical reactions. we're burning energy in the
Mm-hmm.
form of glucose or glycogen, um, and we're creating stimulus to make things happen as far as muscle development. What we want to do is bring the muscle into mechanical tension.
Okay. Yeah.
And mechanical tension is going to involve doing a weight
Okay.
um, and a repetition scheme. So, repetition means how many times you do the movement. Like, say you're doing curls, 1, 2, 3, these are repetitions, right?
Yes.
Um, you need to get into a repetition range where you're going to have an involuntary reduction of contractile velocity,
Okay.
right? So the movement's going to involuntarily slow down because it's creating mechanical tension and the muscle's going to reach a limitation. So
Okay.
that's what we want. But we want to have that muscle failure because of the mechanical tension and the involuntary reduction of contractile velocity. We don't want to just run into fatigue. We're like, oh, the muscle's just tired.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so when we get the muscle to involuntarily reduce its contractile velocity, then we're actually giving it the stimulus it needs to grow.
Oh, that's so
And not
interesting.
going to grow like bulking up, but it's going to grow in a sense. It's going to become denser, maybe fuller. And the other really wonderful news about developing muscle is muscle is metabolically expensive. What we mean by that is that it takes a lot of energy to exist.
Yeah.
So if we have muscle that's metabolically expensive, it means it's burning calories, even at rest. Where the fat that we carry, it's not doing anything at rest. So
Yeah.
having
Sure.
fat isn't helping us burn energy,
Uh-huh.
but having muscle is, because just we develop muscle and then at rest, the muscle is using more calories just to be maintained.
Oh,
So
wow.
one of the fastest ways to get leaner
Mm-hmm.
is to develop muscle because the muscle is going to work for you even at rest.
Okay. That's good advice, guys. That's amazing. So you're hearing it from a very talented personal trainer that is amazing. I'm amazed. So let's see what other questions I might have for you. Okay, let's see. If someone is just starting out, what do you think they should focus on, like first of
Movement
everything?
pattern.
Movement
Movement
pattern?
patterns. So, we talked before about using weight that was heavy enough that we're going to have a reduction in contractile velocity.
Yeah.
A beginner walking in doesn't need to worry about that. We'll learn the movement pattern
Okay.
and get, let's say, the form. And I'm not like a real strict form person. I think we want to be somewhat strict for effectiveness, but we want to get the movement patterns down. One, to prepare the connective tissue, get our tendons and ligaments used to the movement, used to having a little bit of a load,
Okay.
and then have the movement pattern become so second nature that as we add load, we don't have to think about the form. The form becomes natural
Okay.
before we start really loading and doing anything that might be considered heavy. Gives the connective tissue, meaning the joints, time to adapt and get used to the movement pattern.
Oh,
And
God.
then, so I'd say after a month of consistent,
Yeah.
twice a week would be a great place to start.
Okay.
Consistent movement pattern, and that's the place where the high reps are okay because
Okay.
we're really practicing a movement pattern.
Okay. Now, do you think that twice a week is good for somebody that's trying to lose weight as well? Or do you think they should do it more than twice a week? I'm just curious.
There's a lot of different ways to answer that, and really, it depends on how many muscles we're focusing on. If we're going to work
Okay.
on the full body, then twice a week is going to be great.
Okay.
If we're going to break it down, like a lot of guys that get more advanced and girls that get more advanced into lifting might want to spend more time, say, it's very popular to do like a chest and tricep day
Oh,
or a back
okay.
and bicep
Gotcha.
day, where put a lot of energy into just isolating certain body parts
On certain days.
on certain days, or have a day that's just legs.
Oh,
So in those
good.
cases, we could break it up and we could do a 5-day split or a 4-day split,
Okay.
and we still want to have some rest days.
Okay.
And I think that, you know, they've done some huge meta-analysis about anxiety and depression.
Oh,
And what they've
wow.
found there is that no drug and no therapy beats exercise for
Exercise.
treating anxiety and depression. So
Wow. Look
we
at
get
that,
we get
guys.
some exercise, some movement of the body, and we have all kinds of dopamine, a dose we could say, a dose dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins released in the body, which are feel good hormones, feel good chemicals in our body.
Yeah.
Um, so the mental health aspect of exercise is wonderful. And that's a
Okay.
reason to exercise right there.
That's amazing. That's making me want to exercise like all the time now. I need to get into it. Let's see. So, how do you stay motivated, Damian? What do you do for yourself to stay motivated?
I love this question. Um, I think motivation shows up with action.
Okay.
I think that the thing that we really need is the hard part is discipline. Discipline means you're going to do it whether you feel motivated or not. So you just schedule, like put it on your calendar. This time on this day, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go to the park. I'm going to do some exercise. And so then the discipline is showing up. And then I think once you get started, the motivation shows up. I don't think we need motivation as much as we think we do. I think
Yeah,
what we really need is
true.
discipline.
Discipline. I think you're
Yeah.
right.
Motivation is nice, but motivation comes more in the action. You
Yes,
know, and
that's
that's
true.
the thing that personal trainers help with people all the time is
Yeah.
once they show up and they're going, it's like, okay, you got two more in you, you know, or whatever reps, you know, encouraging cheerleading and holding accountable.
Yeah.
That's motivation. But as far as the thing that matters is consistently showing up, and that
Yes.
takes discipline.
Yes, that's true. That's a good way to look at it too, because motivation and discipline is definitely more important. I agree with you. So you're right on. Um, let's see here. I want to know something special about you besides personal training, or even if it is being a personal trainer, but how, like, what have you done to make your print in the world and show love, if you don't mind me asking,
Uh,
and it could be in your life, it could be in your career, it could be anything. What stands out the most to you?
well, I want to tell you a story, and I think it'll come around to answering that a little bit.
Okay.
Um, but it's going to go back to second grade, third grade, fourth grade. I was a kid. All I cared about was basketball. I
Okay.
wanted to play basketball. I would practice. I grew up in upstate New York. And in the winter, when it was too cold out and couldn't go play basketball on the court, I'd practice dribbling in the basement. You know, I'd jump rope in the basement. And all I cared about was basketball. And then in junior high, during the week of tryouts,
Mhm.
I got hit by a car.
Oh,
I was
no.
crossing the road after dark, coming home from a friend's house, and I tried to run out between two parked cars. I didn't see the car coming, and I ran right in front of it, and it laid me up for a while. I broke my leg, and I ended up in the hospital for a little while.
Oh
And
my
that was the week
God.
of basketball tryouts, and
Wow.
it kind of derailed my hopes for basketball.
Yeah.
Um, I ended up obviously not getting to play that season, not getting to play, and long story short, I wanted to do something, you know, as a middle school and soon high school, and I needed something for my self-esteem and something to feel involved and participate in something. And somebody suggested that, well, the swim team doesn't have tryouts. The swim team just needs bodies. They're taking walk-ons,
Hmm.
and I was not a strong swimmer, but I wanted to do something, so I showed up,
Yeah.
and it was it was tough, and I think I was really discouraged.
Okay.
And you know, my mom said, "Oh, just quit." And that wasn't then that was just the right thing she needed to say because I thought about that, and that wasn't going to be an option.
Hmm.
So I stuck with swimming. I had a great coach. I became a better swimmer. You know, I got pretty good, um, and I ended up becoming a lifeguard.
Oh,
I ended up
wow.
moving from upstate New York to Brevard County, Florida. Became a lifeguard for the county on the ocean. Became a lifeguard for the state down at Sebastian.
Amazing.
And this was a wonderful, wonderful life. I did this for many years. I fell in love with surfing. I surfed every day that there was, if there was any kind of wave at all, I would surf. I built a
Wow.
career. I was an artist.
Okay.
So I painted pictures that were inspired by the beach and the surf and the sea life.
Oh,
And I made a career
nice.
of selling paintings. And I'd sell the paintings on the weekend so that during the week, if there was waves, I could go surf.
Yeah.
And this was such an extended youth. It was like a Peter Pan story. It was like a surfer's dream.
Wow. That's
And
amazing.
none of that would have happened if I didn't accidentally run out when a car was coming. and get laid
Yeah.
up during the week of basketball tryouts. I
Can
don't
you
know. I
imagine?
can't imagine how things would have turned out otherwise.
There was like a miracle story where one thing led to another and everything took off from you kind of falling. Well, you fell. Well, you
Yeah.
really did fall, but you were lifted up in so
But
many different.
at the time, it was like a storm. It was horrible. I was
Yeah.
devastated. I couldn't all this practice I put into basketball. That dream got dashed, and I was
Yeah.
crushed. And I remember,
It was maybe you weren't meant to go in that direction.
apparently so.
You might have
But
had
at the time, I couldn't recognize
what
that.
is it called with the people that had the concussions? Oh no, that's
Oh,
football. Now you're talking
yeah.
basketball.
Well, who knows?
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe you weren't meant to go
just
in that
wasn't meant to be.
direction. Yeah,
But
because
at the
I
time, I
understand.
was devastated and I was pouty and I was unhappy. And it took time to realize that had derailed that dream and put me on a path that was much happier.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
wonderful.
yeah, big time.
That's
Thank you.
awesome. I love that for you. That's a great story, successful story. So
So
you
how
can,
did that segue into love, right?
yeah,
Um, the joy that I put into my paintings, people would tell me they got joy from my
that's
paintings,
wonderful.
and that was a great feedback loop. Um, and of course, working as a lifeguard, I got to help people out there, whether it was, helping somebody with a bee sting or a jellyfish sting, or helping them find their way back to the beach when they got caught in a current. These kind of rescues and assisted, helping, swimmers.
Yeah,
Um, it was service to others
that's wonderful.
for sure, and it was very rewarding
That's
because of that.
beautiful.
And I think that the most rewarding things in life always end up being when you have a positive impact on the people around you.
Yes, true.
It's that in itself is a gift.
It sure is.
When you can live in a way that has a positive impact on somebody.
And you help people, you show love, and it's all positive, and that's why we're here because we're projecting love and positivity to the world. And I'm loving this conversation with you, Damian. It's wonderful. Let me see. I want to ask you. Let's see. You answered a lot of questions that I've had, and I want to ask the clients. I want to ask you. Maybe where can the listeners get a hold of you if they want to, start their
Oh,
personal training journey?
it'd be great, and I love questions. So I would invite anybody to field any question. If I don't know the answer, I'll do my best to find it.
Oh,
And
good.
I love questions that challenge me for sure.
Oh, good.
So my social media on Instagram, I'm artist Damian Share PT.
Damian Share PT, guys. Damian Share PT. Follow him on
Right.
Instagram.
It's artist Damian Share PT. So it's kind of long. I started out. The page
Artist
started out as an
Damian
artist
Share
page.
PT.
This was
Okay.
my artwork. But
Okay.
yeah, added the PT when I got into personal training.
Oh, good. I'm going to follow you.
Can I tell you that story?
Yes. Tell me that story too.
So I was painting full time. For 20 years, I did this full time. I was mostly painting acrylic on canvases.
Oh,
Occasionally,
nice.
occasionally doing a mural. I was selling my art in several different breakfast restaurants around town.
Okay.
The Scrambled Egg Cafe over here in the Lowe's Plaza has a display of my work. Wonderful people, George and Debbie there.
Okay.
And some other restaurants
Nice.
over time. And so I got a little bit known for my artwork. Was in the right places, high traffic restaurants,
Wow.
selling my artwork. And I had a lady reach out to me on social media, which was great. And she told me, I have a business and I want to hire you to come into my business and do a mural.
Wow.
So I set up a meeting. I went and met her, and she had a gym,
Okay.
like a general fitness facility with thousands of members.
Oh, wow.
And she invited me in, and she wanted me to do some murals in the gym.
Oh, look at that.
And I went to meet with her, and we fell in love.
You did?
And I
That's
married her.
wonderful.
Fell in love and married her.
Wow.
And then a couple years later, I finally got around to doing the murals.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful.
But she pulled me into something that was a love that I had, which was fitness,
Okay.
um, and a dream that I had, which I always dreamed of being part of a gym, having a gym.
Yes.
Um, and she pulled me into that business, and I ended up, coming on first with helping her with maintenance and, building closets or cleaning or painting,
Oh,
and
nice.
aside from the murals, I ended up getting into working the front desk and building relationship with the members, and
Okay.
got back into training, which I'd
Oh,
been into
wow.
before.
Okay.
Um, but I got back into training, and I thought that was a really neat segue. She invited me in to come. She wanted to talk to me about painting murals.
That is amazing. Now, do you still do that, kind of?
I haven't in years.
Oh, wow.
I ended up getting pretty busy with personal training,
Okay. Gotcha.
which was great, very satisfying. Love it. I haven't picked up a brush much for several years.
Wow.
Um, but I'm feeling the
Okay.
call a little bit.
You never
So
know. You
yeah,
might get back into it. Art is
absolutely.
so beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to getting back into it. The right opportunity comes along.
Yeah. Maybe you should teach. There's a lot of people that want to learn.
Yeah, yeah. I've dabbled in that too.
And with art and acrylic painting, there's
Mhm.
so much out there. People, I mean, I would be a candidate.
Oh, great, great.
Um, so yeah, so I'm so excited to have you on. And this was so much fun to talk to you,
Oh,
Damian.
you too, Nita.
It was
Thank you.
amazing, and I'm so glad you shared your stories with us. And you guys, we're here to shine bright, think positive, and spread love to the world. And that's why we're here. So,
I want to
I'm,
add. Can
yes,
I add?
yes,
I would want to invite anybody who's got any kind of chronic aches and pains,
yes,
whether it's a bum knee or a hip, tennis elbow, some kind of shoulder issue that maybe they can describe or not.
yes,
Anything that's holding people back from being able to enjoy what they like.
yeah.
Say you're a tennis player and you got too many aches and pains, and you're not getting to play tennis as much as you like. Reach out, let's talk. It might be able to help you get back in the game and stay in the game.
Yes, definitely reach out to him, guys. He's gonna help you.
And if you just
And
want to get stronger,
yes,
or if you're into aesthetics, that would go into the category of hypertrophy, building muscle.
okay.
So like bodybuilder style training, powerlifter style training, or just general strength training. I work with people on all those different levels.
Oh, God, that's wonderful. We're gonna spread the word about this. I love that, Damien. So, thank you so much.
It's been a real pleasure
It
meeting
was a
you.
real pleasure meeting you as well.
Thanks
So,
a lot.
thank you.